I would give anything to get my hands on that limping Canadian bitch. Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, the man who tortured and executed thousands. He's furious, obsessed. The Gestapo has wanted posters all over France. The limping lady, reward for capture, every agent searching, and they can't find her, can't catch her, can't even figure out her real name. She's not Canadian, she's American, and she's standing right in front of them, disguised as a peasant milkmaid, gray hair, filed down teeth, shuffling like an old woman. They don't recognize her, don't suspect her, don't realize the woman they're hunting is herding cows 50 feet away. Her name is Virginia Hall. She has a wooden leg she calls Cuthbert. 7 pounds of wood and metal strapped to her stump with leather belts that rub her skin raw. The State Department rejected her from the Foreign Service because of it. Amputees can't be diplomats, so she became the most feared Allied spy in France instead. Organized resistance networks, helped prisoners escape, coordinated sabotage, killed 150 German soldiers, captured 500 more. And when the Gestapo finally got close, she hiked 50 miles through the Pyrenees mountains in winter, on a wooden leg, in the snow, then went back into France and kept fighting. Klaus Barbie never caught her. The Gestapo never discovered her real identity. She was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross by President Truman, the only civilian woman in WWII to receive it. Then she joined the CIA and disappeared into classified work for another 20 years. This is the story of Virginia Hall, the woman who lost her leg and found her purpose, the spy so dangerous the Nazis put a bounty on her head, the operative who never got caught because she was always 3 steps ahead, and Cuthbert, the wooden leg that changed history. December 1933, Smyrna, Turkey. Virginia Hall is 27 years old and living her dream. She's working at the American consulate, fluent in French and German, been to France, Austria, Germany, studied at Barnard and Radcliffe. Her goal is clear: Foreign Service officer, diplomat. She's smart, driven, and convinced she'll get there. Just needs a few more years of experience. She goes bird hunting. It's a weekend. She's with friends, climbing over a wire fence with her 12-gauge shotgun. The gun discharges, blasts into her left foot. The pain is immediate and catastrophic. She's rushed to a hospital. The doctors try to save the foot. They can't. Gangrene sets in. The choice is amputation or death. They cut below the knee. Virginia wakes up with half a leg gone and a 7-pound wooden prosthetic in its place. She names it Cuthbert, because if you're going to live with something for the rest of your life, might as well give it a personality. The prosthetic is crude by modern standards, wood and aluminum, leather straps wrapped around her thigh and waist. No articulated ankle, just a fixed foot. Walking creates pressure sores. The stump bleeds. The leather chafes. Going upstairs is difficult. Going downstairs is worse. The prosthetic doesn't bend like a real ankle. Every step requires compensation. But Virginia adapts. She always adapts. She applies to the Foreign Service again, now with experience, education, and ambition. The answer comes back fast. Rejected. There's an obscure State Department rule. No amputees in the diplomatic corps. They're not considered able-bodied. An appeal to President Franklin D. Roosevelt goes nowhere. Secretary of State Cordell Hull tells her she can be a fine career girl in the consular service. Not a diplomat, a clerk. Type letters, file papers. Stay behind a desk where your disability won't matter. Virginia is furious. She spent years preparing for this, learned languages, built experience, worked her way up, and now a hunting accident destroys everything? No, she refuses to accept it. She resigns from the State Department in March 1939. She's 33 years old. No career prospects, no plan, just anger and a wooden leg named Cuthbert. And then Germany invades Poland. The world goes to war, and Virginia Hall finds a new purpose. September 1939. War breaks out. Virginia is in France. She volunteers immediately, not as a spy. She doesn't know how to be a spy yet. She volunteers as an ambulance driver for the French army. It's dangerous work, driving wounded soldiers from the front lines to hospitals, under fire through combat zones. The French are losing badly. The Germans punch through the Maginot Line like it's paper. Paris falls, France surrenders, Virginia evacuates to England, London, 1940. Virginia is broke, angry, and desperate to fight. She approaches everyone who will listen. Let me help. Let me do something. The British are skeptical. She's American. America isn't in the war yet. She's a woman. Britain doesn't send women into combat. She's an amputee. How can she operate in the field with a wooden leg? But Winston Churchill's Special Operations Executive is desperate. SOE's job is to set Europe ablaze, sabotage, espionage, resistance coordination. They need people willing to parachute into occupied France, knowing they'll probably die. Virginia volunteers. SOE is skeptical, but trains her anyway. Weapons, communications, lockpicking, coding and decoding messages, security protocols, and the part that haunts every trainee. Simulated Gestapo interrogation, including water torture. They strap her down, pour water over her face, make her feel like she's drowning, test if she'll break. She doesn't. She's been rejected by her own country, lost her leg, and been told she's not good enough. A little waterboarding doesn't scare her. Nothing scares her anymore. August 1941. Virginia Hall is sent to France. Codename, Marie. Cover identity, American journalist for the New York Post. The cover is perfect. America isn't in the war yet. American journalists can travel through Vichy France. She can ask questions, move around, gather intelligence, all under the guise of reporting. SOE doesn't expect her to last long, days maybe, weeks if she's lucky. The Gestapo is everywhere. One mistake and she's captured, tortured, executed. She lasts 15 months, not days, not weeks. 15 months organizing the biggest resistance network in Lyon. She creates the heckler circuit, dozens of agents, multiple safe houses, escape routes for downed Allied pilots, intelligence gathering on German troop movements, coordination with other resistance groups. She's the hub, the central node. Everything flows through Virginia, and somehow, impossibly, she stays hidden. The Gestapo knows resistance is happening. They don't know who's organizing it. Just that someone is, someone very effective, someone they need to stop. Lyon, 1942. Virginia's reputation is growing. The French resistance calls her La Dame qui boite, the lady who limps. It's affectionate, respectful. She's one of them, risking everything to fight occupation. But the Germans hear the nickname too, and they start hunting. The Gestapo puts out wanted posters. The limping lady, no photo. They don't know what she looks like, just that she limps, just that she's female, just that she's the most dangerous Allied operative in France. Klaus Barbie takes personal interest. He's the Gestapo chief in Lyon, the butcher, the man who will torture and execute thousands before the war ends. He's obsessed with finding the limping lady. His agents raid homes, interrogate suspects, torture anyone who might know something. 12 SOE agents are captured and executed. Resistance fighters are hung from butcher's hooks. Barbie is closing in. Virginia can feel it. The net is tightening. November 7th, 1942. Virginia receives word. American consulate in Lyon tells her Allied invasion of North Africa is imminent. The next day, Germany will occupy all of France, including Vichy, the zone where Virginia operates, where she's been relatively safe. That safety is about to end. The Gestapo will flood Lyon. Arrests will skyrocket. She needs to leave. Immediately. She doesn't tell anyone, doesn't alert her network, just disappears, takes a train to Perpignan, then walks into the mountains, the Pyrenees. November 1942, 50 miles of snow-covered mountains between France and Spain. Virginia hires guides, Spanish mountain men who know the passes. They take one look at her, a woman, an amputee, in winter. They refuse. Impossible. You'll die, she insists. Pays double. They reluctantly agree. The journey takes 3 days. 3 days of hell. The snow is deep. The altitude brutal. Cuthbert digs into her stump with every step. The leather straps chafe her skin raw. Blood soaks through her stockings. The cold makes everything worse. The wood and metal conduct temperature. Her stump is simultaneously bleeding and freezing. At a mountain safe house, she radios London. Cuthbert is giving me trouble, but I can cope. SOE headquarters doesn't understand. They think Cuthbert is a person, maybe an informant causing problems. They radio back. If Cuthbert is giving you difficulty, have him eliminated. Virginia reads the message, laughs. Dark humor in the middle of hell. They want her to eliminate her prosthetic leg. Sure, she'll just hop across the Pyrenees. She makes it to Spain, bloody, exhausted, hypothermic, but alive. Spanish border guards immediately arrest her. Illegal entry, no papers. She's thrown in jail. The American embassy eventually secures her release. She's safe. The Gestapo didn't catch her. She escaped. Mission complete. She could stay in England, rest, recover, let someone else go back to France. But that's not who Virginia Hall is. She wants back in, demands it. SOE refuses. You're compromised. The Gestapo knows about you. We can't send you back. Fine. She'll find someone who will. March 1944. Virginia joins the American Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, precursor to the CIA. The Americans will send her back into France, but not as Virginia Hall. The Gestapo knows that name, knows that face, knows she limps, so they change everything. New code name, Diane. New cover identity, Marcel Montaigne, old French peasant woman from the countryside. The transformation is brutal. They dye her hair gray, file down her teeth to match a rural peasant who can't afford dentistry, teach her to shuffle instead of walk, disguising her limp with an old woman's gait. She's 38 years old. They make her look 60, hunched, weathered, forgettable. The kind of woman you see and immediately forget because she's poor, old, and irrelevant. It works. In March 1944, Virginia lands in Brittany via British PT boat. She can't parachute anymore. Cuthbert makes it impossible. The wooden leg doesn't absorb impact like a real leg. Landing would shatter her stump. So she comes by boat. Under cover of darkness, back into occupied France, back into danger. With 1 million francs hidden in her clothing and a radio concealed in a suitcase. The Gestapo is still looking for the limping lady. Wanted posters still up. Rewards still offered. But they're looking for Virginia Hall. Young, American, journalist, limps noticeably. They're not looking for Marcel Montaigne. Old, French, peasant. Shuffles like every old woman shuffles. Virginia walks past German soldiers. They don't see her. Look right through her. Just another poor French woman. Unremarkable. Invisible. Exactly what she needs to be. She sets up in the Haute-Loire region, moving constantly barn to barn, attic to attic, safe house to safe house. Her radio is her lifeline and her biggest risk. Broadcasting gives London intelligence, but broadcasts can be traced. The Gestapo has radio direction finding equipment. They triangulate signals, show up 15 minutes after transmission starts. Virginia's protocol is simple: set up, broadcast, pack up, move, never stay in one place, never transmit twice from the same location. They never catch her. Virginia's mission is clear. D-Day is coming. June 6, 1944, Allied invasion of Normandy, the largest amphibious assault in history. For it to succeed, the French resistance needs to rise up, cut rail lines, blow bridges, ambush German reinforcements, prevent troops from reaching Normandy. Every hour the Germans are delayed means more Allied soldiers survive. Virginia's job is to make sure the resistance can fight. She coordinates parachute drops, weapons, ammunition, explosives, money, medicine, all dropped from British planes at night. Virginia scouts the drop zones, marks them with lights, organizes teams to collect the supplies and distribute them. It's incredibly dangerous. German patrols are everywhere. One drop goes wrong, everyone gets captured. She never gets caught. She recruits locals, farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, people who hate occupation and want to fight. She vets them carefully. The Gestapo plants informants everywhere. One bad recruit compromises the entire network. She trains them how to use weapons, how to make explosives, how to coordinate attacks, how to avoid capture. These aren't soldiers. They're civilians who became fighters because their country was invaded. The resistance grows. Under Virginia's coordination, 3 battalions form, 1,500 fighters, armed with British weapons, trained by an American spy, led by French patriots. They're ready, just waiting for the signal. D-Day happens. The signal goes out. The resistance rises, and hell breaks loose across France. Rail lines explode. Bridges collapse. German convoys ambushed. Communications cut. Roads blocked. The 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich, tries to reach Normandy from southern France. Should take 3 days, takes 17, because the resistance keeps hitting them, keeps delaying them. By the time Das Reich reaches Normandy, the beachhead is secure. Allied forces have consolidated. The critical window is closed. The resistance, coordinated by Virginia Hall and dozens of other operatives, made that happen. Virginia's fighters kill 150 German soldiers in coordinated attacks, capture 500 more, destroy 4 bridges, cut multiple rail lines, derail freight trains, create chaos that ties down German forces that should be fighting in Normandy. The Germans know resistance is happening. They don't know who's coordinating it. Don't know that the old peasant woman shuffling through villages with a suitcase is the mastermind. Don't know Cuthbert is underneath her skirt, making every step painful, but never stopping her. The Gestapo is still looking for the limping lady, still have wanted posters, still offer rewards. Klaus Barbie is still obsessed. I would give anything to get my hands on that limping Canadian bitch. He never does, never even gets close. Virginia Hall operates in occupied France for 5 months after D-Day, coordinates resistance, gathers intelligence, broadcasts vital information to London, and the Gestapo never catches her, never even suspects the old woman shuffling past their checkpoints is the spy they've been hunting since 1942, September 1944. France is liberated, the Germans retreat, the occupation ends. Virginia can finally stop hiding, stop running, stop broadcasting from barns and attics. She survived. Against all odds. Despite the wooden leg, despite being the Gestapo's most wanted, she's alive, and she meets someone. Hall Goillot, French resistance fighter, OSS operative. They fall in love, marry after the war, but first, the awards. September 1945. President Harry Truman wants to present Virginia with the Distinguished Service Cross, the highest military honor for non-combat personnel. Only one given to a civilian woman in WWII. Truman wants a public ceremony, press, photos, recognition for extraordinary heroism. Virginia refuses. No public ceremony, no press, no photos. She's a spy. Spies don't do publicity. Make it private or I won't attend. Truman relents. Private ceremony, Oval Office. Virginia attends with her mother. That's it. No press, no photos, no publicity. Truman places the medal around her neck. Thanks her for service that saved countless lives. She nods. Says little. Leaves. The press never learns about it until years later. That's how Virginia wanted it. Recognition without fame. Honor without attention. She applies to the Foreign Service again, post-war. She's a decorated war hero, speaks multiple languages, has field experience few can match. Surely now they'll accept her. Rejected. Budget cutbacks, they claim. The real reason? She's still an amputee, still a woman, still not what they want in a diplomat. The rejection stings but doesn't surprise her. She's been rejected before. She'll move on. Again. She joins the CIA, 1947, the new agency, America's first peacetime intelligence service. Virginia is one of the founding officers. She works in the Special Activities Division, classified operations. Her work remains secret for decades, clandestine assignments, analysis, training new operatives. She's one of a handful of senior women in CIA's clandestine service. And she does it all with Cuthbert, still limping, still adapting, still proving everyone who doubted her wrong. Mandatory retirement. Age 60. Virginia is forced to retire. She's angry, still capable, still sharp. But rules are rules. She retires to a farm in Maryland with Paul, lives quietly, rarely talks about the war. When people ask, she deflects, changes subject, minimizes her role. Her philosophy is simple. Spies don't tell stories. Classified means classified. Even after the war ends, even after the work is declassified. She keeps silent. July 8, 1982. Virginia Hall dies, 76 years old. Obituary in the Baltimore Sun is brief. Former CIA officer. Worked in intelligence during and after WWII. Decorated for service. Survived by husband Paul. The obituary doesn't mention the Gestapo's obsession, doesn't mention Klaus Barbie never caught her, doesn't mention 1,500 resistance, fighters she coordinated, doesn't mention the lives saved because she delayed German reinforcements, just decorated for service. For years, her story stays hidden. Classified CIA files, SOE records sealed. Hall Goillot knows. Virginia's family knows. But the public doesn't. The woman who was the Gestapo's most wanted Allied spy is unknown to history. Then slowly records declassify. Historians discover her. Biographies are written. In 2006, the CIA names a training facility after her. In 2016, a major biography, A Woman of No Importance, by Sonia Purnell, brings her story to wide audiences. The revelations are stunning. Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, was obsessed with finding her. Never did. Never even discovered her real name. Thought she was Canadian. The Gestapo's most wanted spy was American, and they never figured it out. The woman rejected by the Foreign Service became one of the most effective intelligence officers in American history. The amputee, they said, couldn't serve in the field, spent 3 years behind enemy lines, and never got caught. The State Department that rejected her refused to hire her even after the war. They now honor her. There's a Virginia Hall room at the State Department, a training program named after her. The organization that said she wasn't good enough now celebrates her as an example of excellence. The irony isn't lost on anyone. They rejected her. She proved them wrong, and now they claim her legacy. The CIA honors her more honestly. She was one of them. Founding officer, clandestine operative, trainer of future generations. The Virginia Hall Award is given to officers who exemplify her courage, determination, and ingenuity. Her Distinguished Service Cross is displayed at CIA headquarters. A portrait hangs in the lobby. The limping lady who the Gestapo never caught is now the face of CIA's clandestine service. Let's talk about Cuthbert, because Cuthbert matters. 7 pounds of wood and aluminum, strapped to Virginia's stump with leather belts, creating pressure sores, making her bleed, limiting her mobility, and somehow becoming her greatest asset. The Gestapo was looking for a woman who limps, so Virginia learned to shuffle like an old woman, disguising the limp, turning disability into disguise. They were hunting for a noticeable limp. She gave them an old woman's gait. Unremarkable, forgettable, invisible. Cuthbert crossed the Pyrenees in winter, 50 miles of snow and mountains, with guides who said it was impossible. Cuthbert survived the crossing. The guides were amazed. How does an amputee do what experienced mountain men struggle with? Determination, spite, the refusal to let a wooden leg define what's possible. Virginia later jokes that Cuthbert was troublesome. But Cuthbert never stopped her, never made her quit, never slowed her down enough to get caught. Modern historians debate how much the wooden leg actually hindered her. Some argue it was barely noticeable with proper disguise. Others point out the constant pain, the pressure sores, the limitations going up and down stairs. The truth is probably both. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it limited her. Yes, she adapted anyway. Yes, she turned it into an advantage. The Gestapo was looking for a woman who limps. They never looked at old women who shuffle. That distinction saved her life repeatedly. The State Department said amputees couldn't be diplomats. Virginia proved amputees could be spies, better spies than most able-bodied candidates, because she'd already overcome rejection, already adapted to permanent disability, already learned to solve problems everyone said were unsolvable. A wooden leg didn't make her weak. It made her resourceful. And resourcefulness is the most important trait in a spy. Virginia Hall's story is about rejection and response. Rejected by the Foreign Service, she became an ambulance driver. Rejected by SOE after her first mission, she joined OSS. Rejected by the Foreign Service again after the war, she joined CIA. Every door closed. Every time she found another door, or made one, or kicked one down. The word no just meant try differently. She was told women couldn't be spies. She became the most effective Allied spy in France. She was told amputees couldn't serve in the field. She spent 3 years behind enemy lines. She was told the Gestapo would catch her. They never did. Every limitation imposed on her, she ignored. Every obstacle placed in her path, she overcame. Not because she was superhuman, because she refused to accept other people's definitions of what was possible. The Gestapo offered rewards for her capture. Klaus Barbie personally hunted her, wanted posters across France, and she walked past German soldiers daily, herded cows, milked them, shuffled through villages. Old peasant woman nobody noticed. The disguise was perfect because it was insulting. Who suspects a poor, old, crippled woman of being a master spy? The Germans' prejudices blinded them. They were looking for someone young, capable, threatening. Virginia gave them someone old, harmless, invisible. The irony is perfect. The woman they called the most dangerous Allied spy survived because she looked the least dangerous. The limping lady they hunted survived by disguising her limp as old age. The American they wanted was standing in front of them, and they thought she was French. Every advantage they had, she turned against them. Every weakness she had, she turned into strength. And when the war ended, she disappeared. No fame, no publicity, no glory, just the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. What do we learn from Virginia Hall? Not that disability doesn't matter. It does. Cuthbert hurt, caused pain, limited mobility, created challenges. Acknowledging that is important, but disability doesn't define capability. Virginia was rejected because bureaucrats assumed amputees couldn't do field work. She proved them catastrophically wrong, not by ignoring her disability, by adapting to it, by making it part of her disguise, by refusing to let other people's assumptions limit her choices. We learn that rejection is data, not verdict. The Foreign Service rejected her 5 times, once before the accident, twice after, again after the war. 5th time in the 1950s, 5 rejections. She could have given up, could have accepted their judgment, could have believed she wasn't good enough. Instead, she found different paths, different ways to serve, different ways to prove herself. The rejection said more about the institution than about her. We learn that sometimes the people hunting you are looking for the wrong thing. The Gestapo knew about the limping lady. They had clues, they had resources, they had motivation. And they never caught her because they were looking for someone who fit their expectations. Young, noticeable limp, threatening. Virginia gave them none of that. Just an old woman, shuffling, invisible. The hunters missed the target because the target didn't look like they expected. We learn that the most effective people are often the least visible. Virginia Hall coordinated 1,500 resistance fighters, organized parachute drops, mapped target zones, gathered intelligence that shaped Allied strategy, helped win the war, and most people have never heard her name. She worked in shadows, avoided publicity, kept secrets even after they were declassified, because that's what spies do. The flashy operatives get caught. The invisible ones survive. Virginia Hall spent her last years on a farm in Maryland, the same farm where she learned to walk with Cuthbert after the hunting accident. Full circle. She gardened, tended animals, lived quietly with Paul until he died in 1980. Neighbors knew she'd worked in intelligence, didn't know the details, didn't press. She was private, protective of her past. Even as records declassified and historians discovered her, she stayed quiet. Interviews were rare and brief. She minimized her role, deflected credit, credited luck more than skill. She died believing her story would stay secret, that CIA files would remain classified, that her role would be a footnote. She was wrong. The files opened. Historians dug deeper. Biographies were written. Her story spread. Now she's honored by the organizations that rejected her, celebrated by the agencies she served, taught in intelligence schools as an example of perfect tradecraft. The spy who the Gestapo couldn't catch became the spy everyone studies, but Virginia never knew. She died in 1982. The major biographies came later. The widespread recognition came later. The public understanding of her achievements came decades after she was gone. She spent her last years thinking she was largely forgotten. just another retired intelligence officer. Nothing special. No idea that future generations would call her one of the greatest spies in history. No idea her story would inspire thousands. No idea Cuthbert would become famous. That's the final irony. The woman who avoided publicity her entire life became posthumously famous. The spy who kept secrets even after they were declassified is now taught in schools. The operative who never wanted recognition is now honored by the organizations that rejected her. She'd probably hate it, would probably tell historians to leave her alone, would probably minimize everything again. That's who she was. Capable, courageous, and convinced she was just doing her job. But she wasn't just doing her job. She was proving that limitations are often just other people's fears projected onto you. She was demonstrating that the word impossible usually means I can't imagine how. She was showing that rejection is an opportunity to find better options. She was walking across the Pyrenees with a wooden leg and making guides who said it couldn't be done eat their words. Virginia Hall was rejected by the Foreign Service because she had Cuthbert. So she became a spy instead. The best spy the Gestapo never caught. The operative so effective that Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon, obsessed over finding her and failed. The woman who coordinated 1,500 resistance fighters and delayed German reinforcements and helped win the war. All with a 7-pound wooden leg that everyone said would make field work impossible. Cuthbert crossed the Pyrenees. Cuthbert walked past German checkpoints daily. Cuthbert was part of the disguise that kept Virginia invisible. Cuthbert hurt. Cuthbert bled. Cuthbert never stopped her. And when the Gestapo finally gave up hunting the limping lady because they couldn't find her, Cuthbert was still there, still limping, still winning. Remember her name, Virginia Hall, the woman the Gestapo called the most dangerous Allied spy, the operative who lost her leg and found her calling, the agent who turned rejection into motivation and disability into disguise, the spy who walked past the people hunting her because she looked exactly like they'd never expect, and Cuthbert, the wooden leg that refused to quit, just like the woman wearing it.